Hey, Jody here. I've got a rush job that just came in for a friend of mine, a job shop owner. He's got a deadline to meet. It's a very simple job with just 4 fillet welds on there, 2 passes each, but it is 4130 material. It's 1.25 inches thick, and it's going to get a black oxide treatment after it's done. That lets us talk about some things. So we'll talk about preheat, filler metal selection, and a few other things after the welding's done. Let's do it.
I'm going to start the preheat in the household oven here. It's just a small chunk and it's clean, and don't tell my wife. So I'm going to get this thing up to 350 or so here by letting it broil for 550 for probably about an hour and let it soak while I get ready to weld. And then I'll finish it off with just a little handheld torch and get it up to temp and keep it up to temp by doing this and welding on it. Now this took about 5 or 10 minutes worth of torch time to get it up as hot as I wanted it, but I don't have an oxyacetylene rig right now, and you just do what you got to do. So I'm getting a tack on the corner. There's a little flat machined on here. All I have to do is eyeball it, and of course when you tack one corner, the other one pulls up, and I have to tap it back down and get it flat, and then I'll get a tack 180 degrees caddy corner from that tack, and then one tack on all 4 corners before I start welding. Now this only gets weld on 2 sides where the fillet welds are, not on the flat side. And then that flat side will actually be finished machined. I think there's a good 100 thousandths or so of extra material there that'll be decked off each side. So there's a little bit of fudge factor here. Now I'm starting just about a 1/4 inch inward, because if I light up on that corner tack and it's got stress on it, it's liable to pop open, have a little gap there, and I don't want that. I'm not really too worried about this first pass, what it looks like. I'm just trying to, put enough metal on there that the second pass will put the final weld size on there without having to cram rod in there. So there's a flat spot again decked off, and all I have to do is with the second pass come out and meet that little line, and it looks like it's going to be easy to do. So let's take another look at the other side here from another angle of the arc shot. I'm just going along at a fairly slow pace, trying to make sure that I soak plenty of heat into this thing, and I'm at about 165 to 170 amps. Without a preheat, you might use as much as 200 amps on something this thick. But with the preheat, it just doesn't require that much amperage. I'm using a FURICK number 12 cup here. I've got the electrode extended out, mainly just for filming purposes. You could pretty much easily do this with, say, a 7 or an 8 gas lens would work just fine. But this really helps me get the camera in there to see what's going on. It's a good cup too for all kinds of things like this. Tapering off nice and slow. Don't want to leave any crater dots, crater cracks. You saw me kind of come inboard there, trail out inboard. Once I went all the way to the end, I comet trailed back as I tapered off. All right, here's another angle of that. Instead of going away, this is coming to. You see, I'm just keeping a little bit of pressure on the filler rod, going just wide enough on the bottom to meet that end of that flat spot, so that I'll have roughly 250 thousandths leg size fillet weld on this thing. Once again, you can see the torch move backwards a little bit as I comet trail out, tapering amperage to not leave any kind of crater hole that might turn into a crack. Okay, one on each side and it's done. I'm going to let it cool nice and slowly now. It definitely reminds me of this job that I did a few years ago for the same fellow. This is 4140 material, big chunk, took a lot of preheat. This one I got up to 500 degree preheat. And when you're welding hot like that, Tig finger really does come in handy. Shameless plug, but I love this little clip here. Again, I'm doing about 165 amps here if I remember right. Just leaving the wire in the puddle, soaking it in there nice and slow. Don't want any real fast cooling or any real fast travel speed here, because I want to keep the heat up on this part. And then the same thing I came across with a second pass here to get the adequate weld size. And I kept this thing at right around 500 through the whole process.
All right, so the reason for preheat on something like 4130 is to slow the cooling rate. Now you can weld thin wall tubing 4130, for instance, without a preheat. And they're still arguing about this, about using gas oxyacetylene welding versus TIG welding, but an awful lot of parts are being TIG welded with no problems, as long as you use an ER70 rod and not a 4130 rod. Again, the reason for the preheat is to slow the cooling rate, and it also drives off moisture, which contains hydrogen, which is really bad for high-strength, low-alloy steels. It can cause cracking and hydrogen embrittlement and lots of problems like that. So that's the reason for the preheat. So it's 1.25 inches thick, so it definitely needs a preheat, being that thick. And it's going to receive a black oxide treatment when it's done. That affects filler metal selection. That means I can't use a 309 wire. That won't respond to the blackening, and they'll wind up with a black part with nice silver welds, which would look pretty cool, but it's not what the customer wants. Another piece of information that I got from the customer is, I know what this part is. It's just sort of a little leveling device for a shaft, and it's not spec'd out for strength so much as dimensional stability. So, it's easier for a machinist to hold tight dimensions on 4130 or 4140 than it is on cold rolled. Cold rolled is cold rolled, so there's stress bound up in it. When you start taking layers of that off with a machine tool, it gives and moves, whereas 4130, 4140, much more stable. It's not going to be heat treated up to full strength afterwards. It's just going to be stress relieved afterwards. And it's only going to be load tested to 900 pounds. I wouldn't know all these things if I hadn't gone over the drawing very carefully and communicated with the customer very carefully. So that's the lesson, I guess, in all this. Pay attention. The material type, thickness, that tells you if it needs a preheat or not. Filler metal selection, wasn't specified on the drawing. Knowing what the application was, that led me to the ER70 rod, along with the fact that it was going to be black oxide coated when it's all done, and knowing that the ER70 will blacken. I want to take just a minute and thank you for your support. Labor Day is around the corner, and as many of you know, I have an online store at weldmonger.com. I'm running a sale for Labor Day. There's a coupon code. It's Labor Day. It'll give you a little savings when you check out there. So for the next 5 minutes or so, I want to show some of the newly added products to the store, as well as some of the old standbys. There'll be plenty of arc shots along the way. It should be instructive as well as entertaining. So thanks. Have a good Labor Day. See you next time.
First up is this steel DIY welded hell hook. Hell is short for helmet. It holds a helmet on your gas cylinder along with purge hose, wrench, anything else you want. This is a DIY steel kit, 3/16 inch thick. Takes about 3 or 4 minutes to put together, and then it's good to go for a lifetime. I use silicon bronze on this. I like silicon bronze for jobs like this where full strength isn't needed, just a quick something to hold it in place. Got kind of a tab and slot design, so it doesn't take much. Helmet, wrench, purge hose, whatever you want. Both plastic and steel versions available now at weldmonger.com. I also recently added a product called a mag tab jumbo. Previously I'd sold a small mag tab, and I'll show you both products here, but the small mag tab is just so convenient for welding little small tabs and gussets like this. You could hold it with your fingers and get a quick tack on there, but this is so much easier, so much better. There's never a miss, never wire pushing out of your MIG gun and knocking your gusset off place. Just a really super quick, easy way to locate small tabs. And I've found lots of other uses for this thing as well. In addition to welding tabs like this that might hold a wiring harness or anything like that, also you can just take it apart and use the swivel V-pad portion of it for doing an outside corner joint like this. Just a really quick, nice way of holding it corner to corner to get tacks on it. You can use multiple ones for bigger parts. The jumbo mag tab just got way stronger magnets. It's virtually pretty much the same design, but the magnets are much stronger, so it'll hold much bigger pieces. Here I'm holding a 3-inch quarter inch wall piece of tubing or pipe. Got no trouble holding that up. This is a piece of steel that's 1 inch thick, probably weighs close to 20 pounds. Picks it up easily. It's rated for actually a good bit more than that. Magnets are just way stronger. I also added a dual flow meter from Flame Tech. This is a nice affordable flow meter where if you need a purge on things like sanitary tubing, stainless steel, titanium, this is a really affordable way to get it. Here I'm just going to show the results welding an outside corner joint with and without a purge, just to show the difference in case you're not aware. Stainless steel, if you don't have an argon backing, it can sugar like this, and that traps bacteria and all kinds of bad things like that for food service applications, so a purge is way better. Let me show you now the usefulness of my Tig Finger product as well as a Tig Finger XL. This is some aluminum tread plate, and for a long run like this, it's kind of hard to find a prop to go a really long way without stopping. And so on a long outside corner joint like this, especially on aluminum or any kind of joint, that stuff gets hot pretty quick. It's hard to lightly drag your pinky of a glove without it getting smoking hot. And this just glides along really nicely. You can imagine how hot this would get. This is a big piece of stainless steel. I'm welding this up around probably 175 amps or so. And I'm just hanging in there as long as I need to with the Tig Finger, and my finger's not even getting warm. This product is 100% sourced and made in USA from USA materials. And it's made by friends and family. Now there are knockoffs out there, and that's a shame, but they're not made in USA and they're not as good. This is Tig Finger XL. It's just thicker than the regular Tig Finger, and 2 fingers usually can fit in it unless you have extremely large fingers. But for a socket weld like this, sometimes you want to come in from the top, sometimes you can't walk the cup because things are in the way. It just gives you a place to prop on hot metal without your fingers screaming. Sometimes there's a place to prop, but sometimes there's not, so it's great to have a prop in your pocket. Up next is the FURICK number 8 Pro. This is a really good little cup for a number 8 gas lens. Provides a lot of good shielding, and it also kind of lights the way. That's the benefit I find with these clear cups. Not only can you see through them sometimes down in a hole, but you can also just see better all the way around because it's kind of a light bulb lighting the way ahead of you, and it helps you to see the seam or the joint or the edge that you're welding just a little bit better. Okay, this is a joint done with using pulse, high-speed pulse. The ceramic version of the number 12 shields every bit as good. You just don't see through it. It's much more durable though. I kind of prefer it for that reason. Provides great shielding with a long stick out if you need it. The BBW is a little bit bigger. This is a 16/16, so 1 inch inside diameter cup. These are designed to be used with 332 electrodes, and the cool thing about them is they're threaded, so they'll either work with this adapter kit by removing the O-ring, or they'll work with the hardware in a stubby gas lens kit. They just screw right on and no O-ring required. So I did this video not too long ago of a titanium joint. I was using the dual flow meter as well as the ceramic BBW cup, providing really good shielding once I got my argon issue straightened out. Turns out I just had a bad tank of gas, but the cup was not at fault. The cup is keeping this titanium nice and silver, which is what you want for titanium. Also works great on super alloys and stainless steel. Here's the FURICK BBW clear cup. I used this shooting some video recently with a friend of mine who builds titanium bikes. Did a great job. We added trucker hats to the store, as well as hoodies. It'll be fall before too long. And also we've still got a deal going on, the best of TIG welding videos. You get a free Tig Finger with that.